unfortunately, this event became into a religion type of issue. And that's the reason why all of us are here tonight, that we have to make sure that not only what we are today and the way we continue our religion, we have to make sure that our kids will have it and our grandchildren will have it. And we're not going to stop it now, and we're not going to give the support now. Unfortunately, we're not going to be sure that our kids will continue this way. Whoever knows what's going on out there, I don't think I have to go into any details. It's very bad. And it's going day to day. And that's why I think this event is not considered, as far as from my point of view, a political event. It is a religion obligation to be here tonight, and not just talking, being involved in it, everyone with his way, whether it's money, whether it's talking to your friends, getting other people involved. As I told you, it's my first time speaking at a political event, but I think the reason is why we're here tonight is totally a different reason. It is a religion issue. We had few problems. We know already the news that in the last year or two that we had to face, and we could make it. The same way as Rabbi mentioned before with Senator Starobin, they didn't give a chance, and Congressman Bob Turner, and they also didn't give a chance, and they made it. We could make it. We could be here in a few months from now and say the next words, Mayor Erick Selgado. As the rabbis said, it is a mitzvah. I'm giving my check right now to Erick Selgado just to show that I'm honest with what I'm saying, not just talking. Boom. The last word I want to say is that
I don't want to show that.
when I heard Rabbi Nickelbaum, the Rosh Yeshiva, is involved in it, I said, I remind myself in the Rashi in Parshas Yitzroy, Miro elu yotzim ve'enu yotzim. When you see the rabbis endorsing, the rabbis coming out in a way that you never saw before, it means a lot to the Jewish communities, and it means a lot to us. Thank you, and would like to see you next time in the Cedar Hall as a mayor.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know that I am, and I was, and I still am, and I will be, if that happens again. But I was the only New York State Democratic Senator. Of all the Democratic senators, I was the only New York State Senator that voted against same-sex marriage. And believe me, the pressure from the governor, from my colleagues, from everybody else, from the newspaper, from reporters, from...
I gotta go to my grandfather. I gotta go to my great-grandfather. Eventually, if we go back to the history of the United States, why do people come to the United States? Religious persecution. And the whole communities here, for us to have Jewish communities, Christian communities, Muslim communities, comes from the fact and the notion that they were persecuted religiously. One of the greatest points that me and my organization and my companies are working on is Jewish history in Spain. How was Spain like? And as I read more and more about the history in Spain, Spain was the conclave of all freedom of religion throughout all communities, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived in peace. Rabbi Yitzchak Diminaco writes in one of his manuscripts called Otzar HaChaim, he writes, it's become to such an extreme that people have been taxing the Jewish community up to 70% of their income, just for hatred of Jews. And then people had to run away from Spain. Then we know the Spanish Inquisition occurred. And then we know 5,000 Jews from Spain went to Portugal, they went to Americas. One of the greatest and oldest synagogues in Manhattan were from Spanish Jews, Argentinian Jews. So what I say here is very simple. We have an obligation to understand one thing. We're not in our country, obviously. Nobody's in their country. This is a country of diversity. Our country is Eretz Yisrael. Our country is Israel. But we live here as guests. So do any other culture. They live here as guests. This is nobody's land. The land that it really belongs to American Indians. But we have an obligation to encourage one another to live a moral life. We live in such a diverse city, it's very hard to push out the negativity. Negativity is all types of negativity. And we have to live a positive life. To live a positive life, we have to live a moral life. And if I see my neighbors not living a moral life that affects my day-to-day children, okay, maybe I really can't tell him what to do because he also has his own freedoms. But when it ends up becoming polluted in our school systems, then that's not right. Then you're infringing in my freedom of religion, my belief system that I want to perform in America, which was the core essence of why people ran away from England, from Spain, to the Americas. So I pray to God, hopefully, and we could definitely say in the future that Mr. Erick Selgado will become mayor. Fight for those things. Fight for the things that we need, for an education, for success for our children, success for our future. And I just want to mention one last point. It says America United. We first, as each and every community and in specific communities have to become united. And then as a goal, all communities have to become interlinked to each other. And that's what I believe united means. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
After World War II, my country was Czechoslovakia. I was fighting the Nazis in the forests with the partisans. A unit of 250 men and 25 of us survived. There's not one who was not injured. I had the highest decorations which the country will give for freeing the countries from the Nazis. I was very comfortable in my old country. All my friends did very high positions in government. I had open doors wherever I went. And I decided to leave that country and decided to come to America. And I came here only for one reason, because the Constitution provides freedom of religion. Unfortunately, we just experienced the last few months, it's not really so. City of New York, the largest city in the world, having a mayor who is Jewish. His name is Bloomberg. When he came out with full force, with all his might, to fight religion, to deny circumcisions, which is a fundamental, the most important, basic of Judaism. And he is fighting it with all his might. He introduced the law not to be able to properly complete mitzvah milah, the circumcision, with all kinds of pretexts, blood libels, lies. It's unheard of. A Jewish mayor, the largest Jewish population in the world, the city of New York, and he came out against fighting God, fighting religion. He was the main force of fighting for sexuality. He was fighting for we all know our Bible. We know there was the flood in Noah's time. The world was wiped out. It was the great flood. And the final nail in the coffin was when they legalized homosexuality. Shows you the morality of our mayor is something, which is zero. Therefore, it's an obligation to every decent person, if he's Jewish or Christian or Muslim, any American who has a little bit of decency himself, has to make sure we don't get another Bloomberg. Make sure that we have a person like Erick